Hello, and welcome to the Rangers Review. Briefing ahead of today's Old Firm match. Got Derek Clark at Ibrox. You can see Joshua Barrie in the background tucking into an egg roll. He won't be joining us in a video later on. But in the meantime, you'll have to do with me and Derek. So, guys, big one, isn't it? Derek, are you excited ahead of this one? It's surely going to be a fantastic game.
Excited, yes, Johnny. I think it's one of those ones where I woke up this morning and a little bit of trepidation as well, because it is a must-win for me. Rangers need to win this game. They're taking on a Celtic side that are flying at the moment. They're scoring goals for fun. So Rangers will have their work cut out this lunchtime. There's no doubt about it. They're going to have to play better than they did the other night against Motherwell. I know it was a comprehensive victory in the end, but Michael Beale said himself that the performance has to be better, and Celtic will punish any sloppy mistakes that Rangers made in midweek. So I'm really hoping that we get a performance today from the off, as Michael Beale said. Hell for Lalor, I think it was a quote he used. I think it'll be one of those typical Old Firm derbies. And I'm really hoping that Rangers turn up. They certainly didn't do themselves justice in the game earlier on in the season at Parkhead. So I think they've got a point to prove today. And it'll be interesting to see how a Michael Beale Rangers line up in this, what is his first Old Firm derby. Well, second, of course, can remember he took charge of that game when COVID ravaged the squad last season. So, yeah, I'm excited to see how the team lines up this lunchtime, Johnny, and take to the field. I'm hoping for a rip-roaring display from Rangers today.
Yeah, absolutely. Derek, we always think about the 66 people who were lost in the Ibrox disaster at this time of year. We understand the club obviously have its usual silence for that game, and a lot of messages coming in that being New Year, people not just wishing us a Happy New Year, wishing everyone's watching a Happy New Year, which we do also too. So too, also remember in the 66, obviously, it's an emotional event, and for many fans, that is still at the forefront of the memory. Not something that if you were there or thereabouts at the time, and neither of us were because we're too young. If you were there or you were a Rangers fan at the time, it would be something you ever forget. So thanks for all the messages that are coming on that front. We've also got a lot of people talking about the game itself and the excitement. We've got Steely, who's a regular commenter. He's saying boil up in this morning, so hoping for a good performance to get me up and moving and jumping about, keep warm. Yeah, that's a bit of a. You never want the boiler to go down in the thick winter, Derek. Absolutely bulk up here in Scotland today, isn't it?
Yeah, it's freezing this morning, Johnny. It was pretty mild yesterday. I've got to say, I went for a little walk yesterday to blow away the cobwebs of Hogmanay, but today woke up, went out this morning, had to defrost the car and what have you. It is Baltic, so if you're heading to the game, make sure you wrap up warm, because it is a mightily cold one.
You've got a message here from G Long saying Happy New Year, everyone from Australia. We can win this. We have to take the game to them. I think there's no about that, Derek. Absolutely certain that Rangers need to attack. Steely FM again, he's saying, I have a feeling Choke might start with Morelos. That wishful thinking. Well, we'll get on to as we go through some more comments, Derek. I kind of feel that Rangers have to go at this team. Primarily, because if you're talking about weaknesses, it's not their attack. Their weakness is at centre back. They don't get paid very often. But Carl Starfelt, for me, is the guy that you need to target. Is the guy you need to go after. And Rangers can get joy from him with their front players, the quality of front play they have. So it's something very, I think, Rangers need to do, which is get on the front foot, get aggressive, try and turn over the ball high up the pitch. And if you do that, you're going to Celtic problems. If you hang back in a tight, organised shape, Derek, I think the inevitability, as teams see week in, week out in the Scottish Premiership, is they're going to end up scoring. So, what's your take on it? Do you see it as a defensive performance, or do you think they've got to kind of go and match them punch for punch?
Yeah, I agree with you, Johnny. I think they have to have a go, fight fire with fire. Listen, Rangers have got good players in that team as well. We've got to remember that It's a team we know that needs a bit of work done to it this month. I think that it needs a freshness of that. There is no doubt, but it's a very strong 11, and I think they've got to take the game to Celtic. They're at home. That they've got to go out there. They need to win the game, as I mentioned earlier on. I don't think a draw does Rangers any good. I think that a victory here this afternoon reignites the title race. Whether they can get back into it remains to be seen. But for Michael Beale, if he can record 5 victories from 5, I think that is huge psychologically. If he could get his first victory over Celtic, or it would be, of course, 2 if we count that one last season as well. So I think it's a huge game for Rangers. Anything less than 3 points, and I think the writing's on the wall pretty much. So I'd like to see Rangers have a real good go here today, not sit back and invite pressure, because Celtic do have players that will hurt you.
Eric, I'm getting some quotes here that my mic isn't good again. What are you hearing?
I'm not too sure if it was mine, Johnny. It's a bit echoey, but I'm not too sure if that's just in the press room here at Ibrox. I know it's not the best Wi-Fi where I am, but maybe folk can let us know in the comments. I'm hearing you, Johnny, but it's just a wee echo now and again. But like I say, I don't know if that's your end or my end.
Okay, well, I've moved to the internal microphone. Hopefully that's a bit better. It's not going to be as clear. I don't know what's wrong with my Rode mic.
The echo seems to have disappeared, so it must be that mic.
Right, I don't know what's going wrong with that, unfortunately. That's a bit of a nightmare because it's a good mic. But okay, I'm probably not sounding great on this either, but at least I'll not be echoey. Sorry about that, folks. And thanks for letting me know there. So yes, oh yeah, God, I'm getting loads and loads of messages now saying that the audio is terrible. So that's it fixed. Obviously, clearly I need to go out and buy a new mic. Right. So let's get to the team, Derek. Now, all 3 of us have gone for a similar lineup. Well, I say similar, it's exactly the same in our predictions. And let me just go through that. We're going for McGregor in goal, Borna Barisic left back, James Tavernier right back, Ben Davies and Connor Goldson in defence. In midfield, we're going for Ryan Jack, John Lundstrom and Glenn Kamara, with a front 3 of Tillman, Kent and Morelos. So that, for me, gives Rangers a little bit of defensive steel, as well as the attacking power needed to get at Celtic. You've got the pace of Kent. You've got the combative nature of Morelos, the finishing skill of Morelos. Tillman obviously gives you an opportunity to come up with something out of the ordinary. Crucially, in that midfield with Jack, Lundstrom and Kamara, you maybe don't have a lot going forward from that, Derek, but you do have terrific cover in the fullback areas. Ryan Jack and Glenn Kamara, for many, many years under Steven Gerrard, were very used to dropping in and filling those spaces vacated by the fullbacks. So having those 2 in there, left and right of a midfield 3, to me, gives them that cover. So that's why I picked them. Why did you pick them?
I think bit like you, Johnny, adds a bit of stability in that midfield. I think Rangers need to take control of the ball and take extra care with it. And I think Glenn Kamara offers you that. We all know he's good in tight spaces in general with his close control, and he'll generally just keep the ball moving and keep things ticking over. Don't think Jack and Lundstrom had their best of games the other night against Motherwell. So I think adding Glenn Kamara in there just adds a little bit more in terms of legs. I like this comment from Jack. For some predictions, please. Yeah, absolutely, James. No, but listen, I think there's also an argument. I heard a few people say that maybe Scott Arfield deserves to start in this game. I think he's more of an impact substitution, as we've seen at Pittodrie, of course. He started in Dingwall, but I think for me, he's more beneficial coming off the bench. I think the Tillman and Kent are guaranteed starters in any game at the moment, especially Tillman. I'm really excited to see how he gets on in this game. I don't think he wasn't the only one at Parkhead, but the match just passed him by earlier on in the season. Morelos is key for Rangers. I think everyone was sort of heart and mouth moment when he pulled up the other night there with that tightness in his hamstring. The question about whether Čolak and Morelos will play together today, I very much doubt, unless Rangers are chasing the game, where I think he may put Čolak up there and if he needs a goal. But certainly that midfield is key for Rangers. They need to win that battle. You're hoping that Lundstrom and Jack are on their game today, win those second balls, win their tackles, win their duels. If they can do that, then Rangers can go on and hopefully get all 3 points today. But that is key today, Johnny. I think they can't be giving the ball away so cheaply as they did the other night. I think Jack and Lundstrom were guilty of that a good number of times. So midfield is vitally important. That's why I think me, you, and Joshua have went with Kamara in there as well, just to add that bit of stability. And I've seen a few comments as if saying James Sands should maybe get the nod in there. Listen, it's maybe a bit left field. I can understand why some people maybe feel that he should start this match as well. But I just think he'll go with the tried and tested. He knows Kamara, doesn't he? He's a big fan of his, so I think he'll go Kamara.
Yeah, and Michael Beale said, I think ahead of the game, one of the press conferences he did, that he was going to go with experience in the lineup, Derek.
Yeah.
And for me, that suggests that James Sands probably won't be a first pick given the guys that they've got in that area. So he's not going to play centre half with Ben Davies there unless Ben Davies has had a knock. And I think central midfield, the guys that Michael Beale has got there, he knows and trusts and has seen them win Old Firm games in that midfield before. So I don't think he'll have any concerns about those guys, and that's probably why he'll pick them. But I do think as well, Derek, there's an argument that it's not very attacking, that midfield three. So you could see, for me, a Kamara Lundstrom or a Kamara Jack base with Tillman pushed forward. I don't think he will do that, but I don't think it's impossible. And that would also free up another place in the front three, potentially for someone like Fashion Sakala, who, if you're talking about hitting Celtic, winning the ball high up the pitch and hitting them quickly on the break, well, he would give you the pace to really cause problems. Again, the reason I wouldn't do that personally, I don't think it's a terrible tactic or anything like that. Just I would choose not to. For me, Fashion Sakala is so frustrating, and an Old Firm game is not the type of match that you want to be tearing your hair out when someone does something that is kind of off the script. And you need guys who understand and have been over the course many times and proven themselves in this environment. And Fashion Sakala's had a couple of decent moments in Old Firm games. We saw him be heavily involved in that Scottish Cup. It was an OG, but he caused that goal. And of course, he hit the post when very, very close at Parkhead in the last league game of last season. So he has caused them problems in the back, but I would keep him on the bench, throw him on in the last 15 minutes to cause the chaos that we know he can cause. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you, Johnny. Again, like Arfield, he's a good impact sub. Again, if you're chasing the game, he can cause a bit of havoc in that final third. He started off well. I think he scored 2 and 2, didn't he? When Michael Beale came in, I think he can contribute. He will get you goals, but I don't think he should start this one. I think he's a useful substitute to have, but like you, I think he's guilty. We talked about giving the ball away cheaply, and he's guilty of that. That's just part of the game. I think it's just something we have to accept, and a rawness and a rashness sometimes with regards to his shooting and his decision making. I think Rangers need, as you touched on, Michael Beale wants he'll look towards the tried and tested, the experienced players that he knows can turn up in these sort of games, and that's why I think he'll start on the bench. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him at some point during the game. That's the bench is key, I think, for Rangers. Michael Beale did say that he had Čolak available. I think Sakala is another good option to bring off if you need to. Arfield, as I touched on as well, I think you'll see him at some point also. So yeah, it's I think more than likely he'll be coming off the bench at some point today.
Aaron Powell's got in touch. He's asked about Alex Lowry. What do you think about that, Derek? We've not discussed Lowry, but he is a quality player. He can create moments. Is this just a little bit too soon for him?
I think so. I thought he did okay the other night against Motherwell. Some nice touches, good close control at times. Always looking to make that forward pass. I know it never quite came off all the time, but very positive, and it was great to see him in that starting lineup and given an opportunity. I think we all want to see more of him. Whether he starts in a game of this magnitude and the intensity of this sort of game, I don't know. But again, he's another one we may see at some point later on in the match if it becomes stretched. Perhaps it might suit him to come on then. But I think it was good seeing him the other night, and I'm sure he's got a part to play going forward. Johnny, Michael Beale's comments about him were really interesting when he was asked about him, about his inclusion in the side, because he pretty much gets asked about him before every game if he's going to get a shot, and of course thrown in against Motherwell. And I thought he did okay. I mean, he hasn't played much football. We've got to remember, I think only a cameo against Ajax, if I'm not mistaken, in the Champions League, and we've never seen him for a good few weeks. So
Eric, I'm going to interrupt you there. We've got Celtic team news in.
Okay.
And a huge decision from Ange Postecoglou at right back. He's thrown in Alistair Johnson, and Juranovic is on the bench. So that's the big news from their starting lineup, is they're throwing in this untested lad. They've just signed Canadian international at right back with Croatia's number one right back, Juranovic, who's been heavily linked with a transfer, on the bench. Are you surprised at that?
I'm surprised, yeah, but like you say, Johnny, the transfer rumours regarding him are rife at the moment, so you wonder if it's anything to do with that. The boy Johnston you mentioned, of course, he's been playing in the World Cup with Canada, so he comes with a decent pedigree, but you'd like to think Ryan Kent will be looking to test him as much as possible. If this is his first, of course, Old Firm game thrown in at the deep end, I don't think he won't have experienced a game of this magnitude before. So you're looking at the guy like Kent and Tillman to put a bit of pressure on him. So yeah, I'm a bit surprised at that, to be honest.
And Derek, I'm going to interrupt because it is big. Jota on the bench, Abada on the bench. So, they've gone with a front three of Forrest, Maeda and Kyogo. So they're clearly they're looking for a fast attacking front three there. But I don't think anyone at Rangers will be too upset to see Jota not make the team either. Now, listen, I understand that's Rangers team news come in. Let me just go and pull it off. So I can deliver it to you, mate. I'm getting the tweets. I'm not getting the actual information. So let's have a look.
The thing is, I talked about the bench and the importance of the bench, Johnny. Celtic's bench is really strong, of course. So they have plenty of options to select from it if they need to.
Okay, Derek, I've got it now. Got it up. Sorry, now a little bit of technical problems there. McGregor, Tavernier, Goldson, Davies, Barisic, Kamara, Lundstrom, Tillman, Kent, Fashion Sakala, and Alfredo Morelos.
Wow.
So there you go. Substitutes: John McLaughlin, Ryan Jack, Cholak, Sands, Wright, Roof, Arfield, King, and Devine. Derek, your reaction on that?
Well, Jack obviously makes way, doesn't he? And Sakala coming in is a big surprise. It's attacking, Johnny. We mentioned before how it's must win, I think, for Rangers. So he's certainly going for it. He has mentioned before as well, Michael Beale. He wants to play with two strikers, so it looks like he's going with that Sakala and Morelos front two. So yeah, a big opportunity for Fashion. I thought he started well under Beale. Of course, scored 2 and 2. Has looked pretty lively. As I mentioned earlier, there are concerns about giving the ball away cheaply in his decision making in the final third. So it's a big test for him today. But he has scored against Celtic, of course, before at Parkhead, and as you mentioned, should have scored 2 when he hit the post at the tail end of last season. So I'm pleased Morelos is fit as well for this one. I know Mike Beale did say he'd be available in his press conference, but there was slight concerns when he pulled up the other night with a tightness in his hamstring. So I think that's key for Rangers to have him leading the line and Sakala supporting him. Shows that Beale isn't wanting to defend, as you say, Johnny, and try and soak up pressure. He'll look to go at Celtic from the off. So an intriguing lineup. Surprises in both camps, you could say.
Yeah, I think that comes down to having the pace of Morelos, Derek. The pace of Sakala to disrupt the Celtic backline in transition Joshua would be better speaking about it than me, but I think that's definitely a tactical decision. Both teams have a lot of firepower on the bench. Let's not beat around the bush, Derek. Both teams have got the ability to change here. Rangers all of a sudden looking a lot more powerful in terms of the options that are available there. You've got someone like Kemar Roof who can come on, Ryan Jack, Cholak. It's a significantly different situation. I mean, Alex Lowry hasn't even made the squad, Derek.
Yeah.
So
well,
that speaks volumes about all of a sudden the competition that's available in this one is significantly higher, and you can see that in the fact that a player like Lowry hasn't made it. So definitely want to hear what people are thinking about Fashion Sakala. That's the big one for me when it comes to Rangers. You know, Fashion Sakala being selected for this one, as you say, Derek. A decent enough record in the Old Firm. I was forgetting his goal in that game as well. So yeah, he's obviously scored and had that moment in the semi-final at Hampden, which was pretty much as good as a goal anyway, wasn't it? Let's be honest. It was.
Well, he did claim it, and I remember in his post-match press conference he claimed it, and it was quite funny. He was chuckling away at it as well, saying it doesn't lie or something like that. Of course, it was his goal. So yeah, hopefully he's claiming one or two more today, Johnny. But yeah, it's a big day for him. That midfield, of course, he's went for Lundstrom and Kamara, and it's very attacking, isn't it? Kent, Sakala, Morelos, and Tillman. So it's given Celtic plenty to think about, and I think, it's going to be intriguing to see how both teams start in this game. We all know Celtic like to start with that intensity and start fast. Rangers will be looking to do likewise. It's all set up to be an absolute powder keg of a match, isn't it?
I think Jim McCarroll, friend of the show, has got a very good comment here. Worried about lack of midfield tackling ability. Jack would have played for me. I think that's a fair point, Derek. It's a lot of onus on Lundstrom to get the foot in there, I think. Yes, Glenn Kamara can do it, but he's not been on his best form. Ryan Jack, he's got that terrier-like quality about him where he's going to stick the foot in and he can do that dirty side of the game. If you're looking at that Rangers midfield as it stands at the moment, who for you is doing that?
Well, Lundstrom, I know, hasn't been anywhere near the sort of player we've seen at the second half of last season. I think he's been playing with he's one of a number that have been playing through the pain barrier, hasn't he, Johnny? So him and Kamara, of course, Michael Beale told us that he's delaying an operation to play for Rangers at the moment. But yeah, you're looking at the likes of Lundstrom. The only thing with Lundstrom is he was guilty of a few sloppy passes the other night there, and there's a tendency of when he does that, of the sort of head goes down and not chasing back to recover the ball and what have you. I know there's a bit of concern amongst supporters of that sort of stuff. So I think it happened at Parkhead, if I'm not mistaken, at one of the goals as well, where I think was it St Johnstone, I think, the defeat up in McDermott Park at the tail end of Giovanni Van Bronckhorst's tenure. There was a clip where he sort of lost the ball and gave up. So you're really looking at him to be on his game from the off today. He has to dominate that midfield, Johnny, for Rangers to go on and take all 3 points. But Kamara's got a big role to play as well. As we mentioned earlier on, I think he's been chosen because Michael Beale, firstly, is a big fan of him. He controls the ball pretty well. It doesn't tend to lose possession pretty cheaply. It takes care of the football in the main. So it's a big game for him. And what could be, well, there's a lot of noise around Kamara, isn't there, as well, whether he could be moving out at Ibrox. This could be a bit of a farewell game for him in terms of the Old Firm games, but a big game for him and Lundstrom. They need to come out on top for Rangers to go on and take all 3 points. But I'm pleased as well with the back line, Johnny. That is the strongest Rangers defence on paper, isn't it? I mean, Ridvan, you could have an argument as if he was back fit, whether he should come in for Barisic, but I'm pleased that they've got that defence. Rangers have been plagued with problems defensively in terms of injuries this season, so it's great to see that back five. I know there's a debate about the goalkeeper that will rage on, no doubt. I'm also hoping that Alan McGregor has a good game. Generally, he turns up for these games, doesn't he? But that back five, good to see Davis and Goldson partnering each other as well.
Yeah, guys, we've got 1,100 people on with us live at the moment. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, it's absolutely free. Click that subscribe button, folks. It's a major help to us. If you can't do that or you don't want to do that, please hit like on this video if you're watching on YouTube, as this helps us get our content to as many people as possible. And listen, we have got loads coming today. We'll have a reaction video post-match with Derek and Josh as they react from Ibrox. We'll have the manager and what he's got to say from both camps. We'll have players as well. So there's absolutely tons coming on the YouTube channel today. We may even come back later on once everything's died down in the evening and do a video as well. But we'll see about that depending on the result and depending on the game. So there's plenty going on here at the Rangers Review channel. Derek, I mean, one of the things about the midfield, I think Stephen Gillespie's put a great point in here. Fancy Tillman to nab the ball in midfield, similar to Aribo. Now, I've given Tillman pelters at times because I felt that he hasn't shown enough off the ball. Very, very good on the ball. Choo, choo, choo. We're on the Malik Tillman train. No doubt about that, Derek. But off the ball, I think, especially under Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, he could look a little bit like a lost kid. I've seen that improve. I was watching very carefully for it in the last game against Motherwell. I thought he's definitely getting into the groove of what Michael Beale wants. But, and it's a big but, this is a huge test. If you switch off for a minute, even if you've done the rest of the game really, really well, if you've been on it the whole time, you're going to get punished. What I do like about Malik Tillman, though, is he gives you that ability to turn the ball over high up the pitch. He's got those telescopic long legs. He's a very big guy. People don't realise he's a powerful unit, but he's a tall guy. Mm-hmm. So he's got that ability when he gets into a challenge, Derek. He just flicks a foot out, digs a leg back, and before you know it, the ball's back under his control. And that's how you beat Celtic. That's how you beat them. You turn them over, Derek. So I think that could be important. But by God, he's in a midfield three. He's got to stay on it, hasn't he?
Yeah. He's a game changer, Johnny. He's really turned up in the last few weeks. Some of the touches against Motherwell were sublime. Great to see him get his goal. He's capable of moments of absolute brilliance. But as we touched on earlier on, the Old Firm game earlier on in the season, it just passed him by. He wasn't the only one, of course. Rangers were atrocious that day. But we've got to remember it is his first full season in football. There has to be a degree of patience with Malik Tillman. But there's no doubt about it. The boy has got supreme talent. And he could be the difference maker today. I agree with you. He does win a lot of balls and turnovers. He has a great physique. He should maybe use it a bit more. He's good in the air. We've seen him this season with a couple of headers as well. So I think he's a big game player for Rangers today. That I think I put this in my predicted lineup. So on the website, Rangers need to get the ball to him as much as possible because he can create things. He's capable of moments of absolute brilliance. And his link-up play, I thought, with Alfredo Morelos the other night was really good. And in the main, in general, they've both been linking up pretty well. So, yeah, I think it's a big, big game for him today. I listened to I watched his press conference after that game in midweek, and he was looking forward to it. You can't not but like the guy. He just loves playing football, doesn't he? But this is the sort of environment he says this is why he came to Rangers to play in big games like this. And I just hope he shows what he's made of today. There's no doubt about it. The Celtic dressing room, he'll be identified as the key player for them to look out for. So I really hope he turns up today. And he's got a big role to play, as does Ryan Kent. I think we all know he's capable of moments of brilliance as well in these Old Firm fixtures. I think the fact that he's now being asked to play that free role is benefiting him. He looks at a player that is getting his confidence back. I know it doesn't always come off, and there was periods the other night where he's maybe taken the wrong option, but that free role would give defences a nightmare. Who's going to pick him up if he's picking up possession all across that front line? So it'll be interesting to see how those all combine at the top of the Rangers attack. Well, if Sakala perhaps is interchangeable as well. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see how it all pans out, Johnny.
Yeah, one of the things we know Fashion Sakala can do, Derek, is if he gets the ball in the middle of the pitch, he can go either way. He is good when he's running at people. It's just that sometimes he can offer you that slight frustration of going past two or three players with a moment of electric skill and then doesn't do the easy part of the game. We've all seen it. Good point from Ewan Minton here, Derek. I've still got 1,100 people on, so think we'll just stay on for a wee bit, Derek, up until the actual pre-match for the game starts, just to give people something to keep sticking on to. I'm a bit worried about Lundstram and Morelos being hot-headed and getting red cards if things are going Celtic's way. That's an interesting one. Obviously, this is the first Old Firm derby at Ibrox that's had VAR. So there's going to be two elements to it. It's John Beaton, the referee. I think it's John Beaton. Tell me if I'm wrong.
You're right.
And Willie Collum is in charge of the VAR. So there is going to be a lot of controversy at some point in one of these games about VAR. Let's hope it's not today. I did notice serial wind-up merchant Chris Sutton was on his sort of column banging on about why VAR has to be spot on. They have to get it 100% right. The referee has to get everything right, piling the pressure on the ref. Who would have seen that, Derek? Who could have foreseen that was going to happen? From Sutton, who just absolutely loves to spend his time talking about referees and things that they've got wrong without often having a clue about the rules himself. How big a factor do you think VAR will be in this game? For me, I think it's, I don't know, I'm going to be probably the lone voice in the wilderness on this. There's been errors, but I think it's actually been quite good so far. Now, I say that in the context of I'm not just a parochial Scottish football fan. I watch other leagues. And if anyone who does actually cast their net a little bit wider than Scotland is watching this, they'll know that in Serie A and the Premier League, there was real uproar, especially Serie A when they were very early adopters, about the way VAR was used in those leagues. We've had a few mistakes here in Scotland, but generally I think it's been okay, Derek.
Yep, and there's nothing untoward. And I've seen a few people coming out bumping their gums about certain things about the VAR in Scotland, but listen, there's going to be mistakes with it, like there is everywhere, Johnny. I've covered games down south in the Premier League, and as your mic just keels over. Is it a bubble tea, is it?
No. Just iced coffee, mate.
Okay. Listen, you'll get problems with VAR. It's not a perfect solution, but I think in the main it improves the game in terms of the correct decision, the conclusion that comes to the correct decision more often than not. Let me give an example. Up at Pittodrie, remember when John Lundstram, I'm not too sure who the Aberdeen player was, but Willie Collum was the referee. And it was a similar sort of situation as we've seen to Easter Road. Now, if VAR wasn't introduced, I think John Lundstram had a real true possibility of being sent off there. However, Colin obviously conducted with the guys in the van, looking at the screen, and they came to the right decision. So I think in the main it's been good. As Dave Fulton says there, it has been good. It needs to be a bit quicker with decisions. I agree with that. It's going to take it's teething problems. We need to remember it was only get introduced a couple of months ago now, isn't it? So I think the more it goes on, it'll get better. But there's nothing untoward. I seen was it Tom Boyd or something came out a few weeks ago as well with comments with regards to it, and I just think that, listen, it isn't the quickest, but in the main, I think it's good for the game, as Cliff says there. And let's hope we're not talking about the referee after the game, Johnny. They're under a lot of pressure. They're not the best. I think I've been on record saying that they should be full time. I think top flight of Scottish football. There's no reason why they shouldn't be full time referees. We've got VAR in though, and let's hope that we're not mulling over a contentious issue after the game.
Well, there's a lot of people slaughtering Chris Sutton, and some people slaughtering me as well. UK Gary Bell says, back to today's game. Johnny, you're ranting. Apologies, Gary. You probably hit the nail on the head there, and I will now move on to another topic. Derek, in terms of the title, right? Now, I've kind of said in the last couple of months, I kind of felt the title was, the minute it went to 9 points, to me, the title was over. Yeah. I've kind of rolled back my opinion on this a little bit, right? And let me just clarify, right? I think Celtic win all the games against the Aberdeens of this world, the Kilmarnocks of this world, the Ross Counties of this world. But if Rangers win today, it's definitely game on, isn't it? I mean, 6 points is not insurmountable. But they absolutely need to win today. A draw is not going to cut it.
It's effectively 10 points, Johnny, with the goal difference, of course, which is something crazy, isn't it? I think they've got pretty much double Rangers' goals in terms of that department. So for me, they've got to win this game. If they win it, then I'm like you, yes, it is game on. The only concern I have is the games, like you've said, where Celtic will undoubtedly beat the likes of Aberdeen, St Mirren's, Ross Counties. Rangers, you're concerned that will drop points against these teams. It's been the case this season. Was the case last season, of course, when Rangers had that healthy lead and were dropping points, cheap points. I think Hearts, Motherwell, Aberdeen spring to mind. Ross County is another one. So Rangers need to sort that out. If they can sort that out, then the Old Firm games take care of themselves, don't they? You need to. I think Michael Beale said that in his pre-match press conference. They need to just concentrate on themselves, make sure that they get their own house in order, and take things from there. So I think today is a big one. As I mentioned earlier on, psychologically, if Michael Beale can win this, 5 wins from 5, it's a terrific start to his managerial reign at Ibrox. And you don't know what that could do to the team across the city. However, on the other hand, if they can emerge from here with a point or even 3, then I think the writing's on the wall. So it's a huge game for Rangers, Johnny. They need to win, but if they do win, then we might have a title race back in their hands again.
Yeah, there's a lot of people pointing out the goal difference, Derek, which is significant. But Jimmy Duff, again, has come in and said, look, it's simple. We win 10-0 and the goal difference is gone.
Easy peasy.
Straightforward. I mean, there's so much to talk about, Derek. Just before we go, let's just touch on the goalkeeper situation. Now, we've been pretty critical, I think, all three of us, of Rangers' football department and the way they've addressed the goalkeeping situation this year. Michael Beale himself says he doesn't really know why there's been criticism around the goalkeeping department. I think we've done a lot of work on the Rangers Review about why we think there should be, about why stats show that there is an issue. But the one thing I would say about Alan McGregor is that in an Old Firm game, I don't really have any doubts that he'll step up to the plate. He's got that big game mentality, and I can't recall an Old Firm game where, yes, he's made the odd mistake, but I can't recall many Old Firm games where he's not been excellent. So that's the one thing I would say. I think if you're talking about understanding the fixture, to me, Alan McGregor's just obvious, and he will stand tall.
Yeah, he's not the future. I think everyone can see that. But yeah, as Stuart Melvin says, big games, big McGregor, absolutely. He'll be a big voice in that dressing room right now, Johnny, and during the game as well. And he'll no doubt have a big part to play today. I don't think he's going to be not have much to do as he did the other night. So we're just going to hope that he has one of the Alan McGregor games that we all know he can have. I think he's coming to the end of his career. I know we've discussed about the goalkeeping situation, although Michael Beale, I did ask him about this. He said it's not an area of the pitch he's looking to strengthen this month. But McGregor, of course, is his first choice. I think it's clear to see he trusts him. And we just hope that, again, like the referees, we're not talking about a goalkeeping error or something after the game, because I think I'm going to say that most of the Rangers support want a change in the goalkeeping department, don't they? So I'm really hoping that Alan has a good game today, and we're not talking about a goalkeeping error or a VAR decision that's not gone the way of what supporters wanted. So big game for him. But as I mentioned earlier on, it's a really strong Rangers backline now. We've got Goldson, we've got Davis in there. So they're the strongest centre backs Rangers have. James Tavernier, I think, there's no doubt about it, has been off the boil big time. I think he's another one he had flu, didn't he, Michael Beale said, and he's sort of been struggling. He's not 100%, but Rangers need a big performance from him as well, from the captain. Borna Barisic, I thought was terrific the other night. His assist for Morelos' goal in particular was sublime. He looks rejuvenated after that World Cup exploits in Qatar. So the whole Rangers defence, I think, it's a big day for them. But Alan McGregor at the back line, yeah, he's of the three goalkeepers, Johnny, I think he's still the number one. But that's not to say Rangers shouldn't be looking for a replacement, because they need to be looking down the line. I'm not too sure Robbie McCrory is the answer at this moment in time. Michael Beale did say he's torn on whether to send him out on loan for the second half of the season. If he's not going to get a look in, I would be quite happy with that, just to get game time, I think. But at the moment, McGregor is the number one, and let's hope he proves that today.
Just once again, guys, I'd urge you to subscribe to the channel. It's absolutely free. If you're watching on YouTube, just click that subscribe button and you'll get a notification whenever we go live. We've got reams of content coming today. Not only will we have both managers, players post-match, we'll have Derek and Joshua from Ibrox after the game answering your questions and talking about what we've seen. And we may even, depending on the scoreline, depending on the result, depending on the type of game that we watch, come back later on once everything's died down and have another video later on as well. So there's going to be tons coming. If you hit the subscribe button, it means you get a notification when we go live. One thing I think is really important to get across, Derek, we love the tactics, the detail, the drama, the data when it comes to football. That's the USP of this website, and that's what makes us different to many other websites in Scottish football. But at the same time, Derek, you can't just ignore the fact that the Old Firm is a special fixture. Grow Scotland here says, I want to see the fire and brimstone today. No half-hearted challenges. And you know what? Even though I know it's a little bit your dad in terms of modern football, I also know it's absolutely true that you have to win the battle. And if you don't win the battle, you won't win the game. It's a cliche, Derek, but it's there because it's true.
Yeah, and the supporters have got a big part to play as well, Johnny. If they can see Rangers winning those second balls, winning a meaty challenge early on, it gets the crowd fired up as well, doesn't it? And the two of them can combine. So, yeah, I think it's absolutely important. We touched on John Lundstrom. I think he has to win those challenges in the middle of the park, exert a dominance and demand the ball in that engine room. I think if he can do that, Rangers can go on and achieve a successful result. But yeah, the supporters have got to see that today, and I'm sure they will. I'm sure Michael Beale could get the players fired up in the dressing room. Hopefully not too fired up. I've seen a comment before, worried about whether Lundstrom and Morelos might get sent off. But Michael Beale is a passionate guy. I mean, we even see fireworks on the touchline as well. I think that was something that was missing. But with Theo, he was quite placid, quite calm on the touchline in the main. But Michael Beale certainly strikes me as someone that he'll be very animated on that touchline. He'll be kicking every ball, and let's hope that the Rangers players do win those duels. If they can win their duels, individual battles, Johnny, then they can go on and take all 3 points in this one. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's one last comment here. True Blue 1872. This did make me laugh. Buff to take out starfish.
Things you love to see. Let's hope so.
Things you love to see. I absolutely think that Alfredo Morelos has really got a chance to place himself back fully in the hearts of Rangers fans if he can play to his full potential today. I think Carl Starfelt, I mean, he's a good player, don't get me wrong, but if you're talking about a weak link with two centre-backs, he's get-atable, isn't he?
Yeah. And Morelos, I thought he did okay. I thought he was pretty good the other night there. I know he's not at his best. We all know he can play a starburst. We all know he can play a lot better, but I thought he was leading the line pretty well. I mentioned earlier on he was combining well with Tillman, which I think is going to be important today as well. I just hope that that little tightness in the hamstring doesn't flare up today. We all know he's robust, Morelos. He doesn't get injured much. So let's hope it's a big game for him as well. More often, I think it turned up himself in that 55 season, scored against Celtic. He broke his duck against them. And we're needing a big performance from him today. If he doesn't deliver, Johnny, then Michael Beale will look to that bench. And of course, Kamar Roof on the bench is an interesting one as well. So I'm sure he won't, as Cliff says there, Roof to come on and score the winner. He's one that you sort of forgot about, wasn't he? He came back for a little cameo. Was it Dundee or something in the Cup, and then get injured at the following training session? Whether Rangers can keep him fit remains to be seen. But yeah, it's good to call upon when you look at the bench, if Michael Beale needs to, and you've got Cholak and Roof on there. But yeah, Morelos is the man, and that's what we can deliver today.
Okay, Derek, we've had more than long enough talking here. I want to apologise to everyone for issues with my mic. I'm going to go and hopefully sort that out in the next few hours, find out exactly what's going on with that. Maybe it needs a driver update or something like that. I'll go and assess that, Derek, and make sure it's fixed before we come back on. But listen, everyone, thanks for joining us. It's been a right good laugh as much as anything else. Once again, hit subscribe button if you're on YouTube. That'll give you notifications when we go live, and there's going to be tons more content coming down. So keep an eye out for everything we've got coming on the channel. Also, of course, if you want to keep up with all the tactical writing we do, our opinion pieces, our big interviews, go to the Rangers Review /subscribe and sign up. It's £1 for your first 2 months and then $2.99 after that per month. So it's a bargain, and it has every bit of Rangers content you could possibly want. It is absolutely chock full of content. Guys, let's hope that when we next speak, we're coming back to discuss a Rangers victory, a title that is well and truly on, and a performance for the ages. Until next time, enjoy the game